Oh my gosh. Is it working? Is it working? I take my glasses off because the reflection is so bad. Good morning, everybody. Okay, true story. I really missed you guys last week. Um, we have been doing this so long that Monday mornings don't seem quite right if we're not doing coffee time. So apologies for the last minute kind of a cancellation. I don't know about you guys, but there's just been some icky, sicky stuff kind of floating around, and it was kind of bouncing between people and when you're around people, or even when you just bump into people, or I'm a hugger, so sometimes just give somebody a hug and you may end up catching something if you get a little bit too close. But anyway, last week I was, honestly, the problem was that, and I didn't think I was going to be able to talk for an hour without constantly coughing. So my apologies, but I missed you. Hopefully absence makes the heart grow fonder. I know I sure did miss you guys. So as always, thanks for joining in on our coffee time this morning. I flipped some things around to give you a little bit of a different view today. It's gonna kind of probably change here for a little bit, but just bear with me. I feel like the light is bright today, but anyway, whatever, it's fine. So how are you? How was your weekend? How was 2 of your weekends? I guess I need to get caught up on all of your fun stuff. And then I have a question for you. You know, my youngest was talking the other day just about summer vacations, and as a child growing up, it wasn't expected that every summer we were going to have a vacation. We didn't have the money for it. It just wasn't part of what we did. My dad worked all the time. I don't think he ever really took time off just to take time off. So having an annual summer vacation, a trip to the beach, even though we lived in Virginia Beach, but a trip to the beach or just a trip anywhere. I remember going places on occasion, but it was never an annual summer vacation. Obviously we went to Disney. We took our kids to Disney, a lot. And that was me and Eric with our children. But as a child, I went to Disney one time with my mother and my grandmother and my younger sister. So my question to you, wherever you are in your stage of life, if you are now a grandparent, you're like me and your kids are essentially grown, or if you're younger, maybe you don't even have kids, or maybe you're starting out and you have kids, what is your summer when it comes to vacation? What does that look like for you? Are you every summer without fail, everybody goes on a 2-week vacation or a 1-week vacation, or is it just kind of sporadic, or is financing kind of an issue? And so, you just kind of do some staycations and fun stuff at home with the kids. All right, dogs, you're going to need to stop. Dogs are already acting up. I don't know which one that is. Of course, it's Penny. So anyway, ignore the scratching at the door. Just ignore it. All right. So we have a lot to catch you up on, a lot of information to kind of go through today to kind of make up for the fact that I wasn't here last week. And then if I've repeated anything, because there's always, at the end of coffee time, I always question myself. I'm like, oh, did I get to that? Did I get to that slide? Did I go over that topic? So if I repeat myself, just chalk it up to being old. I don't know. Anyway, so let me see who else popped in. Susan, Forsgren. Okay, Susan, I have to see you. I have to see you very soon. Okay, just have to. So good morning, Susan. Richard, good morning. You popped in. Jay, you popped in as well. Excuse me. Good. Jane, I love this. She says, we try to do a 2-week vacation either in the UK or in Florida. Jane, aren't you coming in town here pretty soon? I think you are coming in town here pretty soon, if I recall. I think Shafiq is also planning a trip here. I don't know if he's here this morning with us, but he's pretty consistently with us. Anybody else? Let's see who else has got any vacation stuff. So yeah, pop it up. And even if you don't have time to answer it now, I'll go back and look, because I'm always curious as to what Hadina, usually it's Disney. I know, right? That's just kind of the iconic vacation spot, especially if you, I say if you have kids, but you know what? Excuse me. I have learned that many adults are just doing their adult Disney vacation. And so they don't, maybe I should have taken another week off. Good gracious. But I know a lot of adults do their own Disney vacation. And so which honestly, I think your experience with Disney without kids would be completely different, right? Because when you have little kids, you are also caught up in the fantasy, in the magic of it all. And you just stare at your kids' faces and you watch them start to glow with all of this like wonder that is just it just saturates their body and soul. And that's something you can't take your eyes off of when you're a parent and you're taking your children, right? You're constantly looking for where's that next character that they can go see and that they can go hug or get their autograph or something like that. But for the adults, I think it might be different. You know, maybe you spend a little bit more time at Epcot at the World Showcase, and maybe you do the tour. Maybe you sample the food and the drink from each of the places. Maybe you focus more on the Home and Garden Festival part of it, or maybe it's the wine festival. Who knows? Who knows? So yeah, tell me what you do, Disney or not. I'm always curious. And if you live in the mountains, do you go to the beach? If you live at the beach, do you go to the mountains? If you live at the beach, do you go to the beach? Like, what do you do? I was really thinking about this a lot lately. I think about a lot of stuff lately. It's been rough. And I think about, as a kid, what I did, where we took our children. I think our biggest vacation that we ever took as a family was when we did our England, Ireland, and Wales trip. I think that was we did a lot of Disney and Universal stuff with the kids. Of course we did. But I think our biggest, most significant one was the time that we went to England, Ireland, and Wales. That was a really big trip, vacation. First time we went out of the country with the kids. The fact that it was just such a really cool, amazing experience. So that's absolutely a treasure. So anyway, all right, I digress. I'm going to look at my stuff here and then I'm going to scooch on. Kim. Kim says, now I like to go on the cruise into the all-inclusive resorts. That's smart. Kim, that's why you're smart, because you know how to do this. So this is the advice I need. So I don't know if you're aware of this, but I now am going to need adult advice. Like, adult, what do I do? What do I do? Remember, I've been joking about, do I go on a cruise by myself? Do I go on a cruise with someone else? Do I just go to the Bahamas by myself or the beach by myself? And do I just have some alone time? Is it okay to do that? But anyway, so I digress. So I'm excited to hear all about your vacation, what that means to you. Let's see. Jay, hubby and I took the week off to watch the first week of Wimbledon. Smart. We are tennis nerds, but mostly vacation when it's cold here in Massachusetts and not the summer as much. Yeah, see, this is just fun. I love this. Debbie living, let's see if it goes, living in Disney's backyard every day feels like a vacation. Well, yes, Debbie, isn't that just magical? It really is. And I've said that from the very beginning. When you live where we live, it is every day feels like you're on vacation because you have all of that magic around you all the time. Sometimes I would feel like I have to not take it for granted, because when it's there every day, you drive through the arch every day, or you see the fireworks every night, you don't want to lose that magic, right? You don't want to lose that feeling and the wonder of it all and living where you live. But yeah, I love that. So that makes me happy. We should just end the show on Debbie's comment. I love it. Okay, anyway, but we won't. We'll keep going. Dave Howell, good morning. I think, did anybody else that I missed that may have popped in? Sorry, I'm squinting. Glasses go on. Elizabeth, good morning, sweetheart. Elizabeth says it was 8 years ago today. Wait, was our England, Ireland, and Wales trip was 8 years ago today? Did something pop up? Okay, well, I'm going to have to go back and look because that would be really kind of freaky, amazing, and coincidental if I've been obsessed with that and then it happens to have been 8 years ago today. Susan says you and I are going on a cruise together. Yes, ma'am. Sydney, although I made a mistake, guys. It's not what I'm watching. It's not the what I'm watching segment for today. But I was downstairs and I think I had made lunch and I just wanted to find something real quick to kind of watch, just like a 45-minute to 1 hour something while I ate lunch and try to give myself escape my brain for a minute. And I put on, unfortunately, the documentary of I think it was Carnival cruise ship that kind of went dead in the water and then they had no power and then it was kind of a mess with the toilets, and I'll leave it at that. And that would be my biggest nightmare. So I don't know, Susan, we may have to find another plan. Sydney, going on our first Disney cruise next year. When leaving from Florida, we'll try to go as early and stay after to hit Disney. This year we want to go to Epic. Cool. Excellent. I love it. Leslie says she'll go on a cruise with me. Yes, you know what? We should do that. Business expense. Absolutely should do that. So perfect. Oh, Elizabeth said she got the Facebook pop-up for our anniversary of that. Well, that is really cool. So anyway, all right. So I am Susan. Yes, Susan, you're very bold. That is what it was. That's exactly what I watched. Melody, I've been trying to work up the courage to book a solo Disney cruise. Well, Melody, maybe you and I should book the same solo Disney cruise as solo people but just know that the other is on there in case we need that support. Okay, maybe we should do that too. Anyway, okay, my friends, let's get going on our brewing topic today because we do have a lot to talk about, and I hope these buttons work. Remember, if something doesn't work, I love you. Okay. Okay, I keep forgetting to share with you my mug. So I have a little, of course I have Pooh Bear. I have my Pooh Bear and Piglet mug, and the inside of it says it's more friendly with two. So isn't that a sweet mug? So that's my cute little Disney mug. Today I have water in it because I wanted to make sure I could talk through and not get choked up. So anyway, all right. So our brewing topics for today. All right, yeah. You know what? Full disclosure, I'm moving my banana bread out of the way. Okay, I had a little slice of banana bread. Okay, so what happens now? Brewing topics. What happens now? Seller advice and buyer advice. All three of these are going to relate to one another. And when I say what happens now, what I'm referencing is really what's happening now, the time of year that we are in, combine it with the market that we are in. And what does that mean and what does that look like to everybody within the transaction? So we're going to talk about the seller and the buyer side in a minute. But what I want to focus on is just generally speaking to set the expectation. Everything is always about setting the expectation, and the expectation can change. It's never, ever the same conversation or the same advice or the same strategy ever. And anyone that tells you that this is just check, 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 this is how it's done, maybe the process and procedure of first you do this and then you do this and then you do this, okay, that may be the same, but how you get to the point of being able to do the check off list when you finally are under contract, whether as the buyer or the seller, is going to be different. And that is going to relate to a lot of things that are out of our control. We don't get to control the interest rate. We don't get to control the market. We don't get to control how much competition there is. We don't get to control what the competition is doing. We don't get to control anything outside of what is within our little nugget. So it's important to understand and to have the correct expectation of what's going on around you and how that can potentially affect you and maybe affect your own expectations. All right, so where we are. Yes, it's hot outside. Everybody is officially in summer now, right? Kids are officially out of school. I think everybody is now on summer vacation when it comes to school. So that's one thing. Now, a lot of people are like, oh, well, that's the time that everybody goes on vacation per our earlier conversation. So if people are out and they're on vacation, are they actually looking for houses? Sometimes, yes. Sometimes if there is a situation where a family needs to move, and let's say they do have kids, we've said this before, if they move and they have children, then a school year's timeline is 100% going to affect their decision of when to move. It doesn't necessarily mean that they are only moving during the summer. When we first moved to Florida from Virginia, we moved it was at Thanksgiving. We moved like the day before Thanksgiving, we closed or something like that. So it was like, that was not the most ideal time. It was not at the beginning of the school year, but it was also not technically halfway through it. It was just a couple months into it. And we couldn't control that. And the reason we couldn't control that was because we were building new construction. It was the time that we contracted. It was how long it took to build the home. And when it was completed, you have to close when the builder says it's ready. So things like that are going to affect your timeline. So it doesn't mean that everybody that has kids, and we had kids, school-age kids, that it's going to definitively mean you are moving during the summer or you are not. All I'm saying is that it does affect your decision when to move. So let's just say that you do have kids. You've probably already found the house. You were probably, if you have not closed on it, you were probably prepping to close on it. If you have not yet found your house, you were probably frantically trying to find one. Now, I say frantically, there's a lot of inventory out there. So you're not like pressured. It's just that you're probably going, okay, if it's 30 days to close from contract to closing, 30 days, school starts, kind of early, middle-ish of August, then I need to have contracted by the middle to early-ish of July. And guess where we are, friends? Right? So you can see how that is and has affected where we are. Now, so what I tell people is just generally speaking, because we are hitting the slow period. People are like, yeah, but it's like Disney, it's summer. Like, aren't you like crazy hot and like, well, yeah, hot temperature wise, but market is not super duper hot. I mean, it's still going. People are still selling. People are still buying, but things are not popping off the shelf. If you have an expectation of putting a home on the market, we'll talk about this more on the seller side. If you think, oh, I'm ready to sell now, I'm going to put my home on the market, and you have an expectation that it's going under contract in a week, you're wrong. It could, but that is not what everything else is telling us. And if you are a buyer, and we'll talk about this more on the buyer side of our brewing topics, is if you're like, oh, well, I can just wait and I can get it for a steal. You know what? Not necessarily. You need to make sure that you have the correct expectation of where we are time-wise. But generally speaking, and remember, I speak in terms of Florida, right? Where we are, our little nugget, is that things are going to slow down tremendously because we have now just finished the big busy rush, okay? People are still buying. People are still selling. It's still happening, but it's not happening at the pace that it does typically in other months. Then we start to hit, as we hit summer, late summer, people have stopped looking because now schools are going to start. Well, what happens once schools start, everybody? Everybody's settling in. We're getting back into that school routine. Even if you, again, don't have kids, because your whole life isn't always about kids, I understand. But if you don't have kids, that's still a time. Excuse me, Daisy, that's my banana bread. Oh, Daisy, look, it's banana bread. She wants it. She cannot have it. I'm sorry, baby girl. I'm sorry, baby girl. No, ma'am. That's mine. Daisy, that's mine. Crumbs. Anyway, so let's talk about, so the fact that things start to slow down. So late summertime slows down. People are focused on having fun. They're focused on being here and being on vacation. They might be focused on, okay, well, you know what? I want to move next spring, so I'm going to go ahead and start looking now so that I can build something and have it ready by next spring, summer. So that's still happening for sure. That's happening. But generally speaking, foot traffic is slow just because we live in this magical place. And I do say that I think that our market is a little bit different than, most markets around the country. But it doesn't mean that we're exempt from all of the other, things that can potentially slow things down. We're not exempt from that. Then we hit the holiday season. Once you hit, again, late fall, you hit your, not that October is, Halloween, that's a holiday that really affects anything, but definitely once you hit November and December, now you're talking the two biggies, right? You're talking family gathered around you. You're talking about hosting your friends and family. You are probably, if it's within your control, not actively caring whether or not you move in November and December. In fact, you would probably rather not move in November and December. Doesn't mean that you don't have to. We had to move in November. Not once, but twice. We ended up closing on houses in November, right? Not a great time, but that was a little bit out of our control. So all I'm saying is where we are, expect the foot traffic to continue to slow down as long as we continue to have all of this excess of inventory, but also just the market in general. Think about yourself. I always tell people, put yourself in the other, think about it. If you had your druthers, right? If you had your choice to when to move or if to move, when is the most convenient and the least convenient time for you to either put your home on the market, have to leave all the time so that people can walk through it? And it's usually not around the holidays. So we're getting ready to hit a little bit of a slump. And now we're going to talk about kind of what where we are means to you. Did that make sense? That was probably horrible grammar. So let's go to the second brewing topic. Let me pull that one up. So the second brewing topic is seller advice. So seller advice. If you happen to have a home on the market right now, and I have a lot of listings right now, and a lot of them are not having foot traffic. We talk about this all the time. And by the way, I'm not going to, well, you guys know this. This is why you talk to me. I'm not going to lie. I just had a listing conversation on Saturday. And I say this all the time. This is absolutely what I say this to all my clients. My job is to tell you what you need to know, not what you want to hear. I'm not going to lie. I'm not going to fluff it up just so that I can get a listing. I don't want that. My job is to help you get through to the finish line. And just acquiring a listing is not all there is to it. Now, that doesn't mean that once I get the listing, we don't all sit there and scratch our heads. That's happening a lot. There's a lot of head scratching going on. And it's not obviously just mine. It's all over the place. When you're starting to get text messages from other high producing agents who have great track records. They have a lot of listings. They have a lot of buyers, and they're kind of like, what's going on? Then you know that it's not just us. So you can take a little bit of that like personal guilt, away from you and realize, well, it's not just us. There's something bigger out there that's happening. So if you are a seller right now, this is what I am suggesting. Again, whether you're here, whether you're in another state, obviously check with the local agent to find out what's happening in your area. But this is what I think a seller needs to consider. And when I had this conversation with a client the other day, her home has been listed multiple times with different agents, and just recently with a really big group out there. And excuse me. And that it's now a withdrawn listing, and she's trying to list it again. And she's like, I just need to know what I need to do. And so as I just had the general conversation with her, I said, well, my suggestion is you need to offer closing costs. And that's kind of what we need to do right now. That's what is killing us with the builders. The builders are offering a mess ton of incentives. And we just need to understand that where we are competing with them. The average seller doesn't have the deep pockets. I say it every single week. I know I do. But I think that right now where we are, what is going to entice a buyer out there, or at least it's going to give us more opportunity to entice a buyer, is to go ahead and advertise a closing cost contribution. Do we always have to do that? No. Did we have to do that months ago? No. Did we have to do that a year or two ago? No. But do we have to do it now? Maybe so. Maybe so. Maybe right now it's the time to go, okay, you know what? Instead of, first of all, price your home correctly. Don't be cuckoo crazy. Pricing it over is just an absolute colossal waste of time. Not going to happen. Just way too much competition out there for you to kind of go, well, I just want to see what I can get. No, don't do that. If you want to sell it, as Eric says, what are we trying to accomplish? You're trying to accomplish getting your home under contract so that you can move on to the next thing that you need to do. Whether it's to buy a new house, whether it's to start a new job, whether it's to start a new chapter of your life, what are you trying to accomplish? Then let's make, very honest and earnest strides to get there. So that's kind of one of my suggestions at the moment. Is it's not just about lowering the price. Yes, sometimes you do need to lower the price. But instead of lowering, I saw something a little while ago, and I can't remember now what it was, but I may have done a screenshot because it was really good. It was a good little thing to share with you. Oh, that's this one is, I have to show you this one. Hold on. This is on the next segment. This is the example. This is what I get all the time from the builders of what the heck is happening behind the scenes, which is what the average seller isn't aware of that they're competing with. My grammar is horrific today. Allie, I am sorry. Allie is my grammar child. Okay. Let me see if I can find real fast, because I wanted to share that with you. Oh, I don't have it. Maybe it's on this phone. And if I don't have it, then we'll just move on. But it was really good. It's basically the same thing we've talked about before. As a buyer, it is far more, again, my apologies. Nope, I don't have it. It is far more advantageous if you were coming in as a buyer. Okay. And this is, let me go ahead and scoot to the third one, by the way. Well, Sorry. The buyer advice. Again, glasses, Amy, if you just put them on, then you'll know what you're doing, and you can actually do this. Okay. So the buyer's advice. So if we go to the buyer advice, my suggestion is to you is don't wait and assume that home is still going to be there. If you see a home and you like it and it is something that you want, then you need to try to move forward on it. Don't play let's just see if we can get it for a steal. Do you want the house? Did your agent do the comps and he or she feels like it is priced well? Is it priced a little high? Here's some things that you can do. Just like I told you as a seller that maybe we need to start saying, you know what, we're going to offer a substantial closing cost contribution. $2,500 might not get it done. $5,000 might not get it done. Because remember, closing costs, I'm not a lender, so I don't know if this is all the accurate information, but on average, you're about 5% of your loan amount is about what your closing costs are. In this area and this price point, that's a hefty chunk of money. And it's money that the buyer has to have cash, accessible funds to close on the property. So if you as the seller are able to give them an incentive of $10,000, $15,000, $20,000, that's far more. First of all, if you have a home and let's say you listed at $750,000, Instead of drop, and we know 750 is a good price, right? It's not, you're not getting the foot, you're not getting, wow, I am just the worst today. You are not getting, that's bad, foot traffic because it's priced well at 750. You're probably not getting the foot traffic because there's not a lot of buyers out there. And the buyers that are out there that are looking at that price point are going to have other options. And so they're looking to see what's going to be the best deal, but what is going to benefit them the most. So if you have a listing at 750, consider, instead of reducing it by $20,000, keep it at 750 and now advertise that you are offering a $20,000, yes, I'd set it, a $20,000 closing cost contribution to the buyer. That's going to make the buyer's eyes go, okay, all right, well, wait a minute then. If we can do that, then maybe we have the cash now, we have the accessible funds to do what we needed to do to that house to make it more ideal for us. Maybe it doesn't have a fence and they have pets, and so they need to put a fence in, and they know that fence is going to be 10 to 15 grand. And they're like, well, if we buy the house, we're not going to have the money to do the fence, and then that's going to be a nightmare. But then there's this other house over here. It has a fence, but we don't really like it. So you see where I'm going with this, right? Take that nugget, think to yourself, is it going to be more advantageous for you to reduce the price? Or is it going to be more advantageous and intriguing if you take what you were going to reduce it by and use that as a closing cost contribution? I've done that for a few of my listings here recently, and after coffee time today, all my other listings are going to be getting a little touch base catch up to kind of, I call it the state of the listing, kind of where we are. Just kind of like, hey, we've had X number of showings. That's getting ready to come up because, the sellers need to know what's going on. But part of why you have a listing agent is, in most cases, not in every case, is to, you want us to manage it, right? You want me to manage that and to handle those showing requests and to handle that feedback. And when we have that feedback, share that with you. But to stress you out over every single little detail sometimes is a little stressful. Anyway, so that is my suggestion. So when it comes to our brewing topics, where are we in the state of the market? We are in a slow down period, guys. We are. Now, interest rate decrease is going to potentially help a little bit, but I haven't seen anything major happen within the past little bit. But hopefully it will. Hopefully that will catch up with us. But the time of the year is slow. The time of the year is only going to get slower as we get closer to the holiday season. And that's just the nature of the beast. And I think that is probably true pretty much anywhere. The only time that I see a little bit of an uptick around the holidays is in a 55 plus community. That is when you might start to see a little bit more interest, a little bit more activity, because those people who are, as we call them, snowbirds, and I say that affectionately. I think a lot of people use that as like a derogatory kind of like, oh, they're just no, I mean, it's just, it's snow where they are. They love where they live up north, but they don't like the snow. So when it snows, when it gets cold, they want to come to Florida, and they want to be able to enjoy the lifestyle. So that's when you start to see a little bit of an uptick on the 55 plus communities, where everything else kind of slows down a little bit. But, the truth is, we don't know everybody's story, right? We don't know everybody's story. We don't know what is motivating that person to need to sell right now. We don't know what's motivating that buyer to need to buy right now. And it would be foolish if we just assumed that everybody was going through the same process for the same reasons. And we know, and I've said many, many, many times, transactions, it's not about the transaction. It's about the journey. It's about the story. It's about the person, and trying to get everybody to where it is that they need to go. And anyway, so there's just a lot going on with that. So I think that hopefully some of those tips are helpful. Again, setting the expectations. Market's kind of slow generally this time of year anyway. And if you're a seller, you might need to start considering really offering an incentive, whereas maybe you didn't need to ask, or you didn't need to offer it before. I will tell you that a buyer is most likely going to offer it or ask for it. So if you don't offer it, let's say, okay, let's go back to my scenario. You're a seller, 750. You're like, you know what? Let's reduce it to 730. Let's reduce it by 20,000. And then your agent says, okay, well, let's just reduce it by 20,000. Is it 20,000 to reduce it, or should we do the 20,000 closing cost contribution? And you're the seller thinking, you know what, let's reduce it so that it's less money and people get all excited about it. You're probably still going to get an offer. If you got a full price offer at that point at 730, they're probably still going to ask for closing costs. So maybe you can maybe you can get a win out of that by, instead of lowering the price, offering that in a closing cost contribution. That is far more beneficial to that buyer than it is if you just reduce the price. Their mortgage payment going down by $20,000 is not the same as if you give them a $15,000 or $20,000 closing cost contribution. So with that, let's move on. Let me see what's going on over here. I love it when I'm over here peripheral vision wise. It's just scrolling and scrolling, and I'm like, I'm missing all the fun. Okay, Kim. Oh my God, Kim. Sorry, Amy, we aren't paying attention. We're already cruising in our minds. I love you. Okay, so those of you that cruise, I know I said this before. I need a little advice, and I need to be assured that I'm not going to end up on a poop cruise. Okay, Jane, LOL. You guys are so funny. Oh, wait. Fred, like the stream if you think a coffee time group cruise. Oh my gosh, what a great idea. I like that idea. Okay, someone get on that. Someone get on that idea. I like that. First of all, nobody would go, but that's all right. We have our tiny little family here at Coffee Time, but that's okay. I love my tiny little family. Okay. JJ Hernandez, can the seller and buyer agent each take a 0.5% less? So instead of 6%, they share 5% to help the deal go through. So here's the thing. Remember, commissions are always negotiable. They are never set in stone. And I will tell you, yes, the industry, and this is me talking, right? So I'm not speaking for this realtor. I'm not speaking for this realtor. Those realtors would probably want me to shut up if I tell you what I tell you. But so 6% used to be, we would say, the industry standard prior to the new law that's in effect, where you have to have the buyer broker agreement in place before you can show properties to a client. 6% was the standard. It was 3% for the buyer's agent, 3% for the listing agent. And the way that worked is that in the listing agreement, it would say that seller is going to pay or is going to give the commission of 6% to listing agent, blah, blah, blah. And then the next part of it will say, and then that 6% commission will then be divided this way, 2.5 or 3% buyer agent, 3% listing agent. All of that has always been negotiable. It's just that there is an industry standard with it. And I will tell you, it does matter because at that time, prior to this, when commissions were noted in the MLS, there were people that would maybe not show a home because it was a lower commission. I mean, remember, what we do in real estate is commission-based, and you have to show value for that. It is very, very, very difficult sometimes when you don't know what you're doing, or you know, everyone's been new at some point. So it's very difficult to kind of show your value. But now you're kind of to the point where you're like, I can show the value for that. But even being able to show my value, I most often, in answer to your question, I most often do 5%. I know. You're like, oh, you're not doing 6%? Well, no, sometimes I do. But in most cases where we are in the market, my job is to help you people. I mean, that's my job. And if me taking a little bit less is helpful in the grand scheme of things, okay. But that is on average, that's what most of mine are. They are 5%, 2.5% for the buyer agent, 2.5% for the listing agent. But that can be done. Let's just go back to your question. In the very beginning, you know, you don't want to, realtors aren't going to use their money to help, like to discount. They're not going to discount their commission, right? But in the beginning, if we agree to that in the beginning, that's fine. What's not always great is that if we've agreed on X amount and then we get a buyer in there and then we're like, okay, realtors, now we're going to both have to reduce our commissions to make this deal happen. Have I done that? Yes. Have I done it more than once? Yes. Have I done it more than twice? Yes. Would I do it again? Yes. But it depends on where we are, because now that the market is the way the market is, and because now I don't do 6%, I do 5% on average, not always, okay, not always. I've already reduced it. I've already reduced my commission. I've already helped you out on the front end of it. So, you know, if we're talking it's a $250, you know, microwave, okay, maybe like, you know, maybe I can pitch in something for that. But point is, don't count on realtor commissions to be a part of that. That is agreed to upfront in the very beginning, but it can be a conversation you have with your agent. I talk a lot about a small topic, don't I? Okay, let's move on. Sorry about that. All right, let's go. Let's move on. That was a good question, though. I like that. Jay, you can also do a seller paid buy down credit to the interest rate for a bit. Been seeing those a lot more lately. Yes. So yes, absolutely, Jay. You can do 2-1 buy downs. You can do those closing cost contributions. They can use those funds to buy down the rate if that's what they want to do. That's totally fine. When the seller gives them a concession, Basically, it's like, here, you can use this how you want. Do you want to use it to buy down the rate? Do you want to do you want, we can talk about a 2-1 buy down. If the seller is not already offering that, that could be something that's discussed. I haven't seen those as much lately as I've seen, kind of to your point, where it's like, well, that's part of why people are offering these closing cost contributions, is to help minimize and reduce that interest rate to some capacity. So yeah, that's great. Good point. Okay, let's keep on going. Keep on going. Yes, Allie, I love it. Don't forget to like the stream, folks. All that stuff that I forget to ask you to do. Daryl, good morning, Daryl. Just about to log in now. Good morning, Amy. Good morning, Daryl. Jane, it's 92 Fahrenheit in the UK, but we don't have air. We don't have air conditioning in our homes generally. It's hot. Good prep for coming over to Florida soon. Yes, absolutely. All right. Kim says she would go to the coffee time cruise. Daryl. Everyone's saying hello to Daryl. Yeah, you guys are fun. This is just so fun. Okay. All right. Let's move on. I got some other topics for us. Let me go back to Jane though. Hold on. I have to get there we go. Okay. All right, let's go to some of our other topics. Let's do this since we were talking. Oh, is that better? She just said I'm muted. Am I better now? Thumbs up if you can hear me. I don't know how that happened. Anyway, all right, well, let's go back. So where we are to our weather. So we were just talking about our weather forecast for this week. So we have on Independence Day, so we have 93, 90, 89, 91, 89, 90, 89. By the way, that to me is pretty good Florida weather. It's really hot and humid. And as I was saying earlier, I don't know when I got muted accidentally. I don't know. I didn't touch that button. I don't know. Anyway, but one of the things to note is that anytime you see those, like the rain clouds, but there's still the sunshine above it, that's just because it's so hot and humid. It's just the atmosphere gets a little heavy and it just needs to kind of weep a little bit. And then in the afternoon, it'll give you some of those thunderstorms. Sometimes they're pretty intense, and then they go away. So anyway, so we all good? Everybody can hear me now? I unmuted. I don't know how I muted, but anyway, okay, good. All right, sounds good. Let's boogie on. Okay. Yay. Okay, Melody says she can hear me now. Cool. And you're back. Yes, I know I'm good. Okay, so let's keep going. Let me see, what are my other things. Oh, I got a good one. Okay, so this is what we're competing with. Now, this is something that when we were talking earlier in our conversation about sellers and expectations, this is what we are competing with. And this is in Horizon West, by the way, one of the biggest communities in Horizon West. This is what they are doing. They have just done a $30,000 price drop on their Signature Series homes, plus a rate lock of like 5.4 to 5.9, I think. And then they are still offering $15,000 to $20,000 in closing costs. So that is what we are dealing with, guys. And that is why it's important as the seller to not, I don't want to say don't get discouraged. We just have to figure out a way that we can compete with that. And if we can't compete with that, then we know what our expectation is. We just have to hope that the buyer out there loves our home enough that they're going to want to move forward and submit an offer with it. But if you at least attempt to do something from the seller perspective to show that buyer that, hey, you know what? New construction's great, but here's the thing. Why are you going to new construction? Well, you're probably going to them because it's brand spanking new. Duh. You're also probably going to them because they do have the deep pockets and they have the ability to give you closing cost contributions or flex cash, things like that. And you might even be going to them for that warranty. So as a seller, what can you do? Okay, well, here's something that you can do. You can offer the closing cost contribution, as we've already discussed. Did you know that you can also offer a 1-year warranty? The builder offers a 1-2-10. Pulte is a 1-2-5-10. But if you do a 1-2-10, you can do not a 1-2-10, but you can do a 1-year home warranty on your home. You can do that. And I've got lots of great contacts that you can do that. Some people are like, I don't really want to do a warranty thing. You can also ask for that as a buyer. Did you know that? If you are a buyer submitting an offer, and maybe it's a home that's got a little bit of age on it, or maybe not. Maybe it's a relatively new home, but it's out of that builder's 1 year and 2 year, and sometimes they're not transferable anyway. So then maybe you're like, hey, I want a home warranty with this. It costs, maybe, depending on the level of the warranty that you get, but maybe let's just say between $500 and $700 for a home warranty on the property. You can offer that to a buyer. You can advertise it. You can market it as such. Or as a buyer, you can request it from the seller if it gives you more peace of mind. And the reason I'm mentioning it is to compete with the builder. So you can go, look, we're giving you a $15,000, $20,000 closing cost contribution. Our home is already priced well. We've got the comp to support the purchase price and the list price. But we'll still offer you $20,000 in closing costs, and we'll even throw in a 1-year warranty. Those are things you can do. I'm not saying you have to, but you can. Anyway, and on that note, that's the other thing I was going to show you is another builder, also in Horizon West, is doing, this has just popped up fresh off the press. We have incentives for townhomes at 4.5%. And then there's, again, different builder, by the way. They've also done a $30,000 reduction, or having it be priced 1% below market rate on a to be built, and also still offering a $10,000 flex cash. So this is what we're dealing with, right? It's just the builders are they're throwing everything out there. They're giving you one heck of a show right now. All right, let's move on. Let's see what else we got. Oh, Pam, let's just go. Pam, you're stealing my thunder, love. Okay, hold on. Yay! So Pam, you stole my thunder, girl. Pam says, Amy, another good one. Seasons 52 is coming to Winter Garden. Look at that. They're thinking alike. So 100%. Yes. So now this is coming to Winter Garden Village. So this is not necessarily in the Horizon West little nugget Hamlin area. It's not in the Hamlin area, but it is where the main bulk of my shopping would be, right? Which is in the Winter Garden Village area. That's where you have Target, you have Lowe's, you have Best Buy, you have Kirkland's. That's also, you have PetSmart, Haverty's. You had a Party City, but that closed. What else was there? Oh, PetSmart, Haverty's, Staples. So business supply stuff. And then all sorts of clothing stores and restaurants, fast food, but there's also really nice restaurants there too. So that is where permits have been filed for the Seasons 52 in the Winter Garden Village area. And by the way, Winter Garden Village, it kind of almost spans two sides of the road. So don't just get stuck on the side where Target is. I know everyone is like, beeline for Target, but don't forget there's the opposite side of the road. You've got like Longhorn Steakhouse over there. You've got Cracker Barrels over there. You've got some other stuff on the other side of the street. So don't forget that exists too. But yeah, so we're excited about that. And there's more information too. I had a whole bunch of stuff prepped for you for last week. Because last week's coffee time, we had it prepped and ready, but again, got sick and just felt like it probably wasn't smart for me to do that. Okay, so then let's move on. Who said this? Oh, somebody said Winter Garden is so pretty. Winter Garden Village is so pretty. Who said that? I don't know. I saw it a minute ago. But anyway, yes. So Seasons 52. So if that's something that you're interested in, know that is coming as well. All right, let's move on. I got so much more to tell you. Let's do wishes. Okay, so we have lots of good wishes. We have Jean and Lynette. Their listing went under contract. We're super excited for that. Keith and Juan under contract. Matthew under contract. And Shannon and Sean. Shannon and Sean actually were, they were about a month ago. And I realized I accidentally left them off. So I apologize. So, but they're on there. So some of these are new construction. Some of these are resales. It's just, some of these have been in the works for a while. But anyway, so congratulations to all of them. It's super, super exciting. Oh, Oh, I'm sorry. I see a couple of pops over here. So 56 strong. My daughter Amanda's Party City closed in Marina, Monterey, California. I know. I think did the whole brand close? I think maybe the whole brand did. I'm not sure. But that was kind of sad. We liked Party City. JJ Hernandez. Why is Ovation Village less desirable? I was told it's because it's right next to Kissimmee. So you know what? That's good. So let's talk about it. Let's be transparent. So I don't know that it is necessarily less desirable. I think there are a lot of benefits to the Ovation Village of Horizon West. You've got your Flamingo Crossing there. You've got that back entrance to Disney. You have the college program housing. All of that is right. The tiny Target, right? You have that whole area over there. I think that just because of the way that Horizon West grew, it kind of grew in one direction, and then all of a sudden we're pulling up another section of it over here. And it just, in the beginning, it felt a little bit disjointed and disconnected. I don't think that's the way it's going to feel later. But to your point about because it's a little bit closer to Kissimmee, so coming out of the coming out of the Ovation Village area, if you do go out and you go back to Avalon Road, you go one way, you're heading all the way deep into Horizon West, heading toward Hamlin. The other direction, you're just very close to Earl Bronson and part of that Kissimmee. I always refer to that, and I know I've said this before. I think about growing up in Virginia Beach, and we called it the Strip, right? The Strip that was kind of right there at the ocean front. Well, Earl Bronson, I always feel like that's kind of like the Strip. It's where all the souvenir shops are. It's where all sorts of restaurants are, all sorts of fast food, gas station. Like everything is right there. So everything you could want or need is right there. But it is a little bit more servicing of the short-term rentals that are over there in that Kissimmee area. But I don't know. I don't know that it's less desirable because you are still in Horizon West. It is still Winter Garden, 34787 zip code. It is still Orange County. It is still the same schools and surrounding things that kind of make that area so desirable. And in fact, it's even closer to that Disney entrance. There are a lot of hotels right there at the Flamingo Crossing area. They were there before that whole area popped up because years ago when we did our second reunion for the people we used to perform with at King's Dominion, Eric and I had put together our first reunion. We had done that when we still lived in Virginia. And then just that group of people was just so amazing. We just grew up together, right? Most influential time of our lives doing the most amazing thing that we could ever do, being paid to perform. I mean, God, that was amazing. So a lot of people were like, Amy, we want to do another reunion. So we did another reunion and we did it there and we held it at that Spring Hill Suites that was already there. It had just been built. And that was a while back. So, maybe some people think, well, like if you think about the Hamlin area, you have some apartments around there, but you don't have any like big, massive hotels that makes you feel like, oh, well, this is servicing people that are coming in to visit. But Flamingo Crossing, because of its location, you feel like all of those, excuse me, the hotels that are there, you might feel like it feels like a little bit more kind of touristy, but it is still residential. It is not short-term rental. So I don't really think it's less desirable. I don't know. It's interesting that you said that. I don't know if maybe other people kind of have that perception. It's interesting. It's an interesting look at that. But from my perspective, I think, and I thought this to be honest, as soon as the community of Encore at Ovation opened, and it was one of the first ones to kind of open up in the Ovation Village. And not only was it the first one, but it was also tucked off of Fleming's Road. Fleming's? Is it Fleming's? Off of Avalon, off of Fleming's. It was like kind of tucked back over there. And I remember Eric and I, like when it first opened, I'm like, it's MI. I love the builder, love their floor plans. It's going to be a great community. That road's going to connect to Sawgrass Bay Boulevard through to the Claremont area. But I always felt like it was a little kind of alone out there, but I don't feel that anymore because now you have Serenade at Ovation, you've got North Lake at Ovation, you've got all of the Flamingo Crossing area, you've got all of the, Osprey Ranch, just all of the communities that are now over there have now filled in those empty spots. So I don't know. That's kind of my take on it. I think it was just because it felt like it when it first started, it was kind of disconnected and disjointed. But I think that as it all continues to meld, I don't think you'll feel that anymore. But anyway, I digress. Let's keep moving on. All right, what else do I have over here? I have some babies. Okay, so just enjoying some summer fun is little Miss Elsie, showing us that even little babies can have some fun when the heat gets too much for them. Playing with her little pool water splash area, and then putting her little toy inside of that, I think is pretty clever there, Elizabeth. Just letting her kind of splash around and enjoy some of that. That is honestly, I think that is just a must have for little kids. Even if you have a big pool, I mean, look, there's a big pool right over there. So even if there's a big pool involved, sometimes the little ones just need to have their little cool off splash. And let's be honest, sometimes moms just need to sit down in there too and splash and let some of that the heat and humidity kind of escape. I want to go back over here because let's see, Beaker and Honeydew love that, by the way. New here. Hey, well, welcome. Thanks for joining us. Do I need a realtor with me to walk through new builds? So yes and no. So here's what I tell you. If you are considering new construction, then what you should do is you should still have a realtor assist you anyway. Now, even if, so let's just say, like, for instance, sometimes I'll have clients, I just had one in, been working with them for a long time now, finally getting to the point where we're hoping that they can contract. I don't know. We'll see. But working on coming in town, and had them set up with some builders. So the builders knew to expect them because we had already narrowed it down. Now, in your case, if you're like, oh, I'm just going to go maybe to Disney, I'm going to go out in that direction, or maybe it's not even Disney. I'm just going to go somewhere, I'm going to walk through some new construction model homes. No, you don't have to have a realtor assist you, but this is what you do need to do. You need to protect yourself in the event that you do end up deciding that that new construction community, that builder, is your final choice. So protect yourself by doing this, everybody. When you walk in, the first thing you say is, hi, I'm walking in. I'm working with a realtor. I just need to check with you first to make sure that that's okay if I'm here. My realtor's not with me, but they told me to come in. Okay. Tell them that you told them to come in, even if they didn't. If they say, oh yeah, not a problem. You just need to fill out your registration card. Okay. Registration cards. That's okay. Fill out the registration card, but make sure that you put on there that you are working with a realtor. Look at the entire card front and back, because sometimes they hide the little spot in the tiniest of font that you don't even realize that it's something that they're asking you to confirm, which is, are you working with a realtor? Do you have do you have an agent that you're working with? Check the box. Yes. Just check it. If they require you to enter in a name, then you can either leave it blank unless you know who that person is that you're going to ultimately ask. I have people all the time, and it's because I've been doing this for so long. I'll have people that I haven't even met yet. They'll text me and they'll say, hey, Amy, just wanted to let you know we came in town and we wanted to walk through a few homes. We've, watched you forever and just wanted to let you know that we put you down as our realtor. Yay. That's awesome. I can't wait to meet you and help you through the process. But you want to make sure that you're protected. So the answer is, are you legally required? No. Do you want to protect yourself? Yes. So tell them in the beginning that you are working with a realtor. If that builder, and there are a few, if they say, I'm sorry, your realtor has to be present with you before you can walk through the models, or if you walk through the models, you won't be allowed representation. Candidly, I'd turn and run, and I would make note of that builder, personally. Because reputable builders out there that understand how this works are not going to deny you or make it difficult for you to have representation. So that's my 2 cents worth on that. Just make sure that you fill out a registration card and that you mark that you are working with a realtor verbally. Tell them that you are working with a realtor, but make sure if they have you write anything down, if you give them your name, your email address, your phone number, you mark on there. And if you don't see a spot for it, then you mark on that card, I am working with a realtor, date it. So that if they reference back to that, and I will say I've had to have a site agent go back and reference those cards just to kind of show proof. So make sure you do that to protect yourself. And thank you for joining us. I hope you come back. Today's a little bit wonky. I'm sorry. My lighting is weird. I've got a residual cough, but glad you're here with us. All right, let's move it on. Let's see. Oh, I love it. So you guys are moderators on YouTube channels. Okay, cool. All right, let's move on. All right, what else do I have? I have so much. Oh, I know. I have cup. All right, I want to give a happy belated birthday to our own Allie, who had her 29th birthday the other day. We actually, I will say yesterday, we had a belated shopping trip because she's also been sick. So she's been sick. The baby's been sick. Husband's been sick. Everybody's been sick. But yesterday felt well enough that we went and did a quick little shopping thing to get her a little birthday present. But she's here with us. She is the social media director for Heart and Home Orlando, and she takes great care of us. And she's always here on Coffee Time. So everybody can wish Allie, or Alyssa, as I still like to call her, Alyssa, because it's my baby girl, a happy birthday for, because because she had one. So happy birthday. All right. I know we're getting close to our time, so I'm going to just scooch to a couple of things. I want to go to the listings because that's super important. So listings. Okay, so we are going to do listing spotlights now. So we're going to talk about some of the listings. We're going to go through all of them each week. Make sure, well, we always pretty much go through them each week anyway, but we're going to go through and talk about some of these listings and give them a moment of spotlight. And remember, I know that some of you that are watching this, you're here because we have been connected for a long time. You have gone through everything with me. By the way, next week is going to be a kind of I'm hoping it to be a little Eric heavy episode. It's not a show, Amy. It's not a show. Next week, just because it will be it'll be close to 6 months since Eric passed. So, and by the way, I have this here. I just want to make sure you all see what I have with me today. But yeah, so next week we're going to talk a little bit about Eric and kind of stuff that's going on. Anyway, so let's do our listing spotlight. So this is an absolutely beautiful townhome in the community of Hawksmoor, and this is in Horizon West in Winter Garden. This is an end unit with a detached garage. The area that is detached is screened in. It's both covered and uncovered, or it's covered with a breezeway, so that if you're coming in through the two-car garage, lugging groceries, or maybe you went to Winter Garden Village, maybe you went to Disney and you're coming back with all of your goodies, you can come through with the covered breezeway and it's not going to get you wet. And then the other section is still going to allow the sun to come in. So if you want to get a little sun, you want to put a little play out area out there, you want to put a grill out there, a couple lounge chairs, you've got the space to do that. Because it's an end unit, there's a whole side of the house. It's got lots of beautiful windows and natural light just flooding in. The sellers have added a beautiful fireplace wall treatment to it. And my favorite thing about this particular townhome is that this unit has a flex space at the front of the home. It is typically just an open flex space that you could either access immediately to the right from the front door as soon as you walk in, or you can access it through the butler's pantry type effect off of the kitchen. Well, what these homeowners did is they actually put doors in both of those access points. So they put French doors at the front, and then they added at the pass-through area, there's also a little closet in there, so it's really fantastic. They put a little door where the pass-through would be from the butler's pantry type of an effect. So beautiful. There's a full video tour of that, so we have a link to that as well, so make sure that you take a look at that. If you have anybody interested in a townhome, it is really lovely, and it's priced very, very, very well. Lovely community, great amenities, 3 bedrooms, 2.5 baths, a little over 2,000, almost 2,100 square feet. Upgraded appliances in there. They added all KitchenAid appliances. Really beautiful. So just if you're interested in that, don't forget we have the full video tour of that one. But let's go on to some of our other listings because they all deserve a moment in the spotlight. So let's do that. So let's see. We've got the other listings. Okay, so we have one in a community. We have a $15,000 closing cost contribution on that one. That is a pretty big incentive. That's pretty stinking big. And that goes back to the beginning of our conversation today on Coffee Time, talking about what can a seller do to help compete. It's just so difficult, but that's what you need to do. And that's what they decided to do. So I appreciate them kind of going big on that one. We have a price reduction on Davenport Home with the Pool. Actually, you know what? I apologize. I need to fix that. That one is now pending, my friends. The Davenport with the pool is pending. Thank God. It's under contract, finally. Then we also have over here in Waterley, beautiful community of Waterley. We have an end unit. It's not an end unit, but it is a corner home site for the Clearedon floor plan, which is a beautiful 4-bedroom home. That floor plan is so stinking popular because it has an ensuite on the first floor. So if you are thinking, okay, well, I don't really want a townhome, don't really need, big home, this is kind of perfect, right? Because you've still got a substantial amount of square footage. You've got 3 bedrooms plus a loft upstairs plus that balcony. You've also got the corner home site there as well. And then again, the fact that it has an ensuite there on the first floor is great for friends or family. Somebody that might need to come and stay with you, a guest that's going to come, can have their own bedroom and bathroom. Winter Garden, 1 story. We have so many houses. This is so good. This one is still beautiful. We have this large Ashby floor plan, larger home site, big backyard, 3-car garage, lots of square footage for a 1-story is beautiful. In Kissimmee, Leslie just held an open house for this one on Saturday. This Kindred, again, I'll say it again because I don't know who hears what and what you're paying attention to. I refer to Kindred as the Kissimmee version of Waterley. It's the same builder, and it has larger home sites, but they have multiple amenity centers, quick, easy access to the main roads to get you where you need to go. So this is a big, beautiful home, priced really well. $5,000 closing cost contribution on this one. 3-car garage, again, 4 bedrooms in that one. Groveland, 1-story. Actually just had a showing for this one yesterday. Keep your fingers crossed. I tell you, I get so excited where it'll be like crickets, nothing's happening, and then somebody will come through and there'll be a lovely showing request. Groveland, 1-story, again, really nice home, nice and quiet. What I like about that area is that it is a little bit further and it's tucked away and it's beautiful. And you still have, candidly, there's a Burger King not too far. I know I'm a McDonald's person, but there's a Burger King right out there. So I love that. Okay, let's see. Next page, because there's more pages of this, right? More pages? Do I have more pages? I don't know. I think there's another page of them, but I can't find them and I don't want to push the wrong button. So let's move on to Word.
Oh, now come on, Amy, tell me what's the word.
All right, closing costs. You know what? I was going to actually print out something and I forgot to do it, but next week I'll do it. So closing costs, we're kind of going back to basics here, people, but it's kind of important sometimes. You know, we talk, we become more educated, we start to speak and advise on a different level, and then some people are new to it and they're like, what are closing costs? So closing costs are fees that are associated with the actual closing on your property, and closing is the actual, some people refer to it as settlement. That is the time when you go, buyers and sellers have all signed documents, title company, then all the funds have been wired where they need to be, funds are being held in escrow, we have all signatures, everything has been it has been compliant. Everything has dotted I's and crossed T's, and signatures are where they need to be. Papers are notarized that need to be notarized. Then they initiate funding. And the closing costs are the fees that are associated with that part of the transaction. Okay. And some of them are, I say auto-populated. That's not really the right word, but I can provide you an estimated seller's net sheet. And when I do that, it will auto-populate based on your physical property address and the county that you're in. And it will auto-fill some of those fees and charges. And those are not things that we get to play with, right? If that's what the county requires or if that's what the state requires, that's the way it goes. Closing costs can also include things like a seller concession or commissions for realtors, things like that. And I'll try to print one out next week and kind of maybe share it with you, but just so that you can kind of get an idea. But here's the biggest thing you need to know. When we reference closing costs, we said it earlier, I don't know if you wrote it down, but I'm not the lender, not the title company. I'm not going to balance your closing disclosure, but I will tell you that in most cases, expect to pay about 5% of that loan amount for closing costs. And so again, when you think about how much is the home that you're purchasing or how much is it that you are borrowing, if you kind of work those numbers based on that, it'll at least give you an idea. And I will tell you, almost everybody goes, oh, that's so much more than I thought. That's why a closing cost contribution from a seller, whether it's a regular you and me seller or whether it's a builder seller, can be such an advantage right now in the market that we're in. So that one. And then the last thing, I promise. Okay, so I just finished this the other day. I can't wait to tell you next week what I'm watching because it'll be special. But I did just finish this on Prime. It's called We Were Liars. And I mentioned it to Alyssa. And she's like, oh, I have that book. And I'm like, it was a book? I didn't know. Where have I been? Anyway, so I just finished this. So if you are, if you're looking for something to watch, I can't remember how many episodes, but I'm going to say maybe 7 or 8-ish, something like that, maybe. It was good. I really enjoyed it. Yeah, it was fun. I mean, you know, it had some twists there at the end that I wasn't expecting. And so, I hope you like it. If you haven't watched it or if you haven't read the book, if you're looking for something, that's kind of a fun one. And because it has a little bit of a summer theme to it, kind of a Martha's Vineyard type summer vacation theme, which is kind of maybe why I'm obsessed with summer vacations at the moment. It kind of has that vibe to it. So it's a really good one for right now. It's very timely. So grab yourself a soda, water, a lemonade, whatever beverage of your choice, snuggle up and watch an episode or two of We Were Liars and let me know what you think. So I thought that was a pretty good one. It kind of had a little bit of everything for me. I don't like everything to be bad. I like a little love story in there too. So anyways, that was a good one. So I like that one. All right, guys. So I am going to do my promo now so that Eric doesn't get mad at me wherever he is. Anyway, so yes, don't forget to call me or text me. It's 407-848-8042. As always, guys, you know that I appreciate you so much watching Coffee Time, waiting for Coffee Time. When you saw that I wasn't doing Coffee Time last week, the text messages, hope you're feeling better, everybody checking in. I just hope you know that I adore you. We are our own little community here, whether you are with us every week and you're texting, or whether you just pop in late on a Wednesday evening and that's your time to catch up on what you may have missed on Monday at Coffee Time, or whether you're watching right now and you just don't know how to chat in there. Just know how much I absolutely, from the bottom of my heart, appreciate you being a part of my life, a part of Heart and Home Orlando, of our little Heart and Home Orlando family here, and for telling your friends, and for sending people over and having them give me that call at 407-848-8042. As always, though, guys, please stay safe, stay well. I'm gonna find my button. Hold on. Please stay safe, stay well. Remember, I love you guys. I really do. Can't wait to see you next week because we're gonna have some fun. We'll reminisce a little bit about Eric and our journey together. All right, guys. Love you. Have a great week. Bye.